Hi, students. This is part 2 of day 1. So we're going to be solving more equations, this time equations that have variables on both sides. Once again, I hope that I will see you in class soon. And since this is at the beginning of the term, if you have not picked up a packet and you don't have the materials, then take a pause and grab yourself some paper so that you can write some things down. Ready? All right, so again, I mentioned that this is going to be equations with variables on both sides. And as a little way to remember the order of these steps, you can think about a good probably rule to keep in mind is don't call me after dark, right? If you need to send me a text, but probably calling me after dark is not the best idea. So don't call me after dark. The reason I say that is because we can think of, I'm going to go ahead and put something in that top line so that I can put the D and the C separate. Some of this should sound familiar from the last slide, the last lesson. So we're going to distribute, and obviously you could just write it over there where you could, that would probably be a good plan for me too, honestly. Distribute, that's going to be step 1. So distribute. Combine like terms. And then the M, this is something different from the last time. The M is move a variable, because we need to get our variables on the same side. It is, and there should only be 2 variables at this point because you've combined the like terms that are on the same side. All right. So then once we've done that and we have both sides as simple as possible, then we need to move one of our variables over. Once we do that, we're to a 2-step equation. Easy peasy. Then we're going to add or subtract. Keep in mind, if I was going to subtract 2, that's the same thing as adding -2. So I could simply say add. And then the last step is divide or potentially multiply, but it's really very typically going to be divide. All right. So those are the steps. Some of these problems, we're going to jump in at M for move a variable. So 1 and 2 don't have any distributing to do. They don't have any like terms to combine. We start with the 3rd step on 1 and 2. All right, so not every problem is going to have every one of these steps. They probably all will have move a variable because that's kind of the purpose of this part of the lesson. But yes. All right, so let's head on down here to some of these examples. So I already mentioned that these first couple examples don't have any distribution and they don't have any like terms. And some of you might be like, well, there's more than one Y. They have like terms. When I say combine like terms, I'm talking about the ones that are already on the same side of the equation. So in this case, there's not any of those. So I need to get my Y's on the same side. So we're on that move a variable step. So I'm going to move this 3y by subtracting 3y. And whatever I do on one side of the equation, I need to do to the other. Or you might just think of he's moving to the other side, and when he crosses the equal line, he changes his sign. Either way, when he gets over there and combines, now he can combine with the 5y. It makes 2y. And then we still have -8 is equal to 12. And then we're to what should be extremely familiar territory, two-step equation. We can add 8. And divide by 2. To get y is equal to 10. 5 times 10 is 50. 50 subtract 8 is 42. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 plus 12 is also 42. So the same still applies. I won't continue to do all the checks, but the same still applies that you can check your work. You just make sure you put it in, replace both the variables with that value that you have as your solution. So for number 2, I'm going to move that -8x. So I'm going to add 8x. And notice when I write it on the left, I'm going to write it underneath the other x's because that's who it can combine with. Those are gone now. Again, you might just think of it as moving it to the other side, but it becomes positive when it moves over. So -6 and +8 give me 2x. Still got plus 14 is equal to 12. Now we'll subtract 14 on both sides. So 2x is equal to -2. Divide by that coefficient of x. Remember, when we're dividing, exact same number, we get x is -1. Okay, so notice the difference. Since the equal sign is in between them, you cannot just put them together with their current signs. One of them, you could move that the other direction, but one of the variables needs to move to the other side. Whichever side you put your variables on, then you need to make sure that you move your constants to the other side. You do not, when you get ready to divide, you want to be sure that your equal sign is in between your variable term and your constant term. Got to be careful that you don't move everything to the same side, because then your sign will be wrong if that happens. I'm going to go down to this bottom row. No, there weren't 12 problems. It's been pasted together. But I'm going to go down to this bottom row. It has a little more steps than the middle row. All right, so and make sure that I give you some good examples. And then the homework for this is just on the back side of the homework that hopefully you've already done. That was multi-step equations, but variables only on one side. All right. Okay. By the way, if you're working on the homework and you don't have enough space on the paper, I feel your pain. And I know you can't just enlarge it like I can on my screen. And so please feel free to use a separate sheet of paper. After I go through these 2 problems, I will put the homework problems up. And then you could pause that so that if you are at home and you don't have paper, you could write those down. All right. So here, definitely got more steps. We've got distributing to do, and we're probably going to have some like terms to combine. So distribute first. Again, remember that if you have that negative sign, you can think of that as being that you're distributing a -1. So, pardon me, I have 5x minus x, or I could write minus 1x plus 18 is equal to 6 minus 2x, distributing -2 times 15, minus 30. And then both sides, clean up, simplify each side. So on the left side, 5x minus 1x, or x plus 18. On the right side, there's -2x, and then there is 6 minus 30, so -24. So we want to like tidy up, simplify the left side, simplify the right side by distributing and combining like terms. Then we can work to move these variables to one side and the constants to the other before we divide. So I have -2x. I'm going to get rid of that by adding 2x. So I'm moving those two x's to the left side. So to get rid of them on the right, I'd have to add them. That makes them positive when they get over here. So that would be 6x plus 18 is equal to -24. Get rid of plus 18 by subtracting 18. Or I could think of that as adding a -18. -24, -18 is -42. Divide that by 6. And x is equal to -7. Lots of details. Negative signs. Be sure that you don't drop them. Lots of mistakes, lots of problems that go wrong is because I trace back to a place where a negative sign got dropped. All right, let's take a look at number 12. So we're going to distribute. We're going to combine like terms. We're going to distribute twice and combine like terms on the left. And then we'll try to get our variables on the same side. The right side's actually simplified in this case. So if you want to challenge yourself, see if you can get it right, you could pause me and then come back and restart, see if we got the same answer. Please let me know if we didn't. Because you know what Hannah says, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days, even teachers, probably especially teachers. So I have distributed. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. That's my 8y, my -2y, that's 6y. 32 and 2 make plus 34. Now I'm going to get my y's on the same side. And as it's turned out, it's been very convenient to always move them to the left. They don't have to go to the left. They could go to the right, but just know if you do put them on the right, then you need to make sure you move your constant to the left. So in this case, I'm going to get rid of -3y by adding 3y. Nice familiar two-step equation. Subtract 34. Divide by 9. and y is equal to 4. Okay. All right. Remember that you can pause the video or rewind if you need to go back and catch something. And again, you have, there was another video for this first homework, the first side of the page, but I did not really show these problems like I'm going to now. So if you need that because you're home without a copy of the work, I'll also post the packet on Google Classroom so you could look there. So those are your first 4 problems on the front side of the page. Again, you can pause this to write things down if you need to. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 11, 12. So just so that it has a mix of types of problems. So there are 6 problems on the front. And then the back side, considered homework 2. You have 6 more problems. And again, I know that the numbering is kind of jacked up, but there are 6 problems on each side of the page. All right. And so if you also just check in about if there's anything else, but that's your multi-step equations. All right. Hope that was helpful. Thanks.